And welcome to the Miami Dolphins post-game show here with the yard prep, whatever we call it here, yard work, yard prep. I always get mixed up with Alfredo's show and our show, but that's okay either way. So, as usual, Prize Picks, they are the sponsors. If you pick 2, 3, or 4 players, you can get up to $100 on your deposit if you go ahead and do that. So Kai is having some administrative difficulties on his camera here. Like, that's the first time that I've ever heard that, quite honestly. Referee saying, we're stopping the game because we have administrative difficulties. The chains are all messed up. I'm like, okay, thanks for sharing.
That was the first. And I think they used Scotch tape to fix it. That was a high-end operation being run over.
Yeah, right? It's incredible. But anyway, so the Miami Dolphins win this game 28-17. And I got to say, man, it's definitely not the game I was expecting.
No, it certainly wasn't. I mean, when we talked about it in the pregame show, I mean, all 4 of us said that Tua was going to get up over 250 yards, get a couple touchdowns, it was going to be a barn burner, and the Dolphins would have to squeak this one out at the end with maybe a Jason Sanders field goal. But the defense took over and they dominated this ball game, and they took all the pressure off Tua, which was ultimately good for him, I guess.
I mean, quite frankly, I'm almost unsure of whether I agree with that or not, simply because when the Dolphins were up by 18, it feels like Chan Gailey was really trying to just not run actual good plays for Tua. And then as soon as the Rams started to catch up, it seems like they started to throw the ball a little bit more. So it almost feels like that Gailey was not as convinced as Brian Flores and Chris Gear that Tua was actually ready to play football. It almost feels like that they were protecting him from himself. And at that point, I'm thinking, I tweeted this out, and oh boy, my mentions blew up for it, even though I wasn't really serious about it, but I'll go ahead and bring it up anyway. It almost felt like this offense needed Ryan Fitzpatrick to be the quarterback.
Oh,
For real, Kai. Listen, man. For all you can say about Fitzpatrick's issues, when he was quarterback, the ball moved and they weren't afraid to throw it. For this game, you cannot tell me that it looked like the Dolphins were afraid to to call passing plays for Tua.
Were they afraid, or was Chan Gailey afraid?
Okay,
that's what I want to ask you. Who's
the guy running? Who's the guy calling plays?
Okay, but come on, let's be real here. This dude's calling plays that you wouldn't even call for Nick Foles right now from the freaking Chicago Bears.
All right, that's fine.
Come on now.
But Kai, answer the question. Did it look like the Dolphins were afraid to call plays for Tua to throw the football?
My words would be very not politically correct if I want to give you my actual answer, because there's a lot of things I feel that it doesn't start. Obviously, I guess you could say yes, but at the same time, Chan Gailey, come on, Chan Gailey. You can't be calling soft like that.
The game plan was certainly conservative, and we saw that. But you got to remember, I mean, Tua had 5 snaps prior to this game for the better part of a year. No preseason, none of that stuff. I mean, practice obviously is important, right?
I'm well aware of it.
But the defense did the offense a favor with their performance today. And I mean, the running game continues to be something of an issue, right? But the play calling was certainly conservative, and I think they were just trying to work him in, to get his feet wet, to get him comfortable, facing a dominant pass rush, right? I mean, the LA Rams get after the quarterback among the best, right? I mean, they have Aaron Donald, and we saw Aaron Donald's effect immediately in this one. But it was a conservative game plan. But in my opinion, I think it was the way to go, just considering what the defense was able to do, what the special teams were able to do. There was no reason to stretch Tua out there at this point in time.
No, and I agree. I don't think the Dolphins should have tried to make Tua win the game for them, but I feel like that at some point you have to let him do something. You have to let him try to make a play here and there. Gesicki dropped a deep pass down the left sideline. That was bad. Preston Williams dropped some passes. Myles Gaskin dropped a pass. All that stuff is going to factor in to that stat line, and I get that. But again, I have been the guy more than anybody who's been saying that it shouldn't have been Tua right now because I don't think he's ready. But if the coaches believe that he's ready to play, if the coaches believe that Tua is ready to play, you cannot make play calls like you're not convinced he's ready to play. How many passes did he ultimately throw? Like 25 passes?
22. He went 12 for
passes.
22. 12 for 22, 93 yards and a touchdown.
And he's my spirit animal.
All right. So all I am saying is that if you believe that he's ready to play, you have to let him be the quarterback. You have to let him try to make something happen. You hand it off to Gaskin and he gets 2 yards out of it. Then you hand it off again. He gets stuffed. And then on 3rd and 8, it doesn't feel like the Dolphins were trying to let Tua be the quarterback for this game. It almost feels like they were trying to hide him. And if that's what you're doing, then you shouldn't have let the Rams game be his debut. You should have waited for a softer defense.
You Dolphin fans are too hard to please, man. Unbelievable. That's it.
Listen, I was happy with it. I understand.
Right, David? Right?
I'm not upset with Tua's performance.
I understand that.
Performance.
I understand the perspective, but when you look at the defense running off, I mean, we scored 28 points in a row, had a chokehold on this game for the better part of the game. There was no need to make any of those crazy play calls. They tried a couple shots down the field. I mean, the Gesicki drop was one. They had another one, I think, to Preston Williams at one point. But again, there was no real need for any of that stuff to be on the field today. I mean, would you have liked to have seen it? Sure, of course, we all would have, right? But there was no purpose behind it. I mean, he made some conversions, right? There were some bad drops in there throughout the afternoon. But listen, all told, they get a win against a 5-2 team, right? They are still in the thick of it, like right there in the AFC East, in the playoff race, all of that stuff. And he's got his first game under his belt. And then moving forward, this is a relatively soft part of the schedule. So they'll be able to continue to work in the rest of the offensive, playbook, right? And I mean, we saw some stuff today that we hadn't seen before. We saw some live action RPO stuff. We saw some things, with him getting out of the pocket, throwing on the run, stuff like that. So there were some really good signs there. And again, 12 for 22, with at least 4, maybe 5 drops in there, so he probably should have been like 15 or 16 for 22, up over 100 yards. I mean, he was a game manager today, but that was Russell Wilson when he started too. He was a game manager, right? Fitzpatrick was terrible against the Jets. The offense was terrible against the Jets too. They struggled to get the 3rd down conversions and stuff like that. Would Fitzpatrick have won today? Yeah, of course he would, because the defense was what really made the difference for the Dolphins today. And I don't think they needed to stretch out Tua in this one. He got his experience. He got his touchdown. Everybody was really excited to see it. And again, there was no the Dolphins were not set back by moving to this rookie, and everybody was into it. And I think all told, I think this was a big win for the Dolphins and a good, nice day for Tua.
Again, really quickly on what Lewis and I know, Lewis, that you have a lot to say right after what David just said. But listen, I'm gonna look at it as not a Dolphins fan, because I'm not a Dolphins fan, but me being down here with you guys. I know you guys have been wanting this for such a long time, and guys are very excited. This game didn't need Tua to become a superstar. Obviously, this is his first career start. It's against the Rams defense. Listen, people doubted Aaron Donald for saying, "Oh, listen, the Dolphins can do the same thing that the Niners did." It's totally two different things.
Hello. I'm sorry. What is it that you guys think I'm criticizing? Tua or
what the
play call?
No. I know what you're criticizing. You're criticizing the offensive callings right after being up the way that you were. And then the offense didn't even do anything per se, because 28 points, what was it? It was basically the defense scoring, the
special teams
touchdown, and then what? So Tua and the offense scored 10 points, right?
Or the offense, they got one touchdown from Myles Gaskin, And because
but they didn't need to do anything more with him per se, especially when you looked at what the Rams were doing offensively. They were hurting themselves possession after possession. You really just wanted to control the game, which is what David's saying, which is I totally agree with. Now, next week, heading into Arizona and those other weaker teams down the stretch, if you do this again completely, listen, I'm sorry, but Myles Gaskins can't fumble the football inside the 10 or whatever the case is. Yeah, so that right there was also a big thing. But you need,
drop the first down pass.
Like right now, I saw in the fourth quarter in the drive before the Rams had the ball threw a perfect pass for a first down pass midfield, and it was dropped. So who knows if that drive they continue it and they score a touchdown? We don't know, obviously, because obviously it didn't happen. But listen, he got his first start underneath his belt. And you listen, little things. You don't want to throw him the whole damn playbook, especially at the LA Rams, because there's no need for that right now.
I agree.
I
agree.
Now,
I
agree. Be criticized for not at least giving the rookies something to work on, something to actually work during the game instead of watching it on film and learning it, throughout the week. Okay, I can see your point there, but there was no need to, rush it at all. There's no need for that right now.
No reason.
That's just my point. That's not my point. Lewis, I understand your frustration. I can see it on your face. But it is what it is, bro. You won the game. Your defense stepped up. Okay? They were basically told, listen, you got to be able to win the game for Tua. And I thought the game was going to come down to that. Was the defense making sure that the Rams offense did not get into a row. And I have to say, the Rams kicked themselves in the foot, but the Dolphins defense took over, and then Jakeem Grant with the punt return. Listen, at halftime, we all know this. The game was over. Let's be honest here. The game was over. I would have wanted Tua to go out there too, but there's no need for that. You're up by multiple possessions against the Rams offense that has shown you doesn't matter if we're going to go 80 yards on the field. We're going to mess up and, at goal situations.
Goff should have had another 2 interceptions as well when you really think about it.
Absolutely. Is it the worst performance that Goff has ever had as a pro? I can tell you.
Eric Rowe dropped a pick 6.
Eric Rowe dropped a pick 6. So what if they're up by 30 points? We don't need Tua to become anything else, man. Listen, just take your snaps, do the handoff, do what you got to do. Get ready for next week against Kyle Murray.
And the thing too with that is again, you're up so much. If we want to really take a look back at it with the play calling, and I'm just as frustrated as you are, Lewis, and I'm sure David is as well in terms of the, you want to see better out of Chan Gailey because we haven't seen it all year. He didn't even open up the playbook really with Ryan Fitzpatrick. I mean, yeah, there were some moments where it had looked good, but I mean, what you'd say your best offensive performance, Jaguars, then you lost the Seahawks, and then 49ers, and even then the Jaguars, you should have beat them. And then the 49ers is just one of those Ryan Fitzmagic moments that we as NFL fans are accustomed to, and then Dolphins fans the past 2 years. Chan Gailey hasn't really been that open. I mean, the first 2 weeks going into the Jaguars pregame, all the talk was, when is Chan Gailey going to open up the offense? When is he going to, you have all these weapons, quote unquote, that you've been wanting to use that we've heard all preseason. When are you going to open it up? And as Manny said, in this game, it was just like the Jets game. The Jets game, I think the offense was significantly worse in the second half. This game, you didn't really need to do much in the second half at all, in all honesty. There's a lot of things that we're going to pick apart. There's a lot of things that we need to fix, but we know that. I think right now, you put him in, there's no going back, and it's not, I don't think it's necessarily, all on Tua. It's Chan Gailey's got to just something, man, just something.
Yeah, but we all know this. Chan Gailey at some point needs to find a running game, man, because that's the only way that this pressure is going to be off Tua, man, because today, listen, I would go there with Lewis just a little bit. I really don't know. I really want to know what the game plan was after the 10 plays that were scripted, because, man, sometimes I just scratch my head and I'm like, really? But hey, I'm not a coach.
Somehow I feel like you guys are making my point and criticizing me for saying it myself. I literally am telling you guys that my issue is not with Tua. The play calling is the issue, and here is why. I don't need them to be adventurous. I don't need them to open up the whole playbook because now Tua's in. Quite frankly, and I said this in the pregame show, I would have preferred if they honestly did just kind of more of the same with what they were doing with Fitzpatrick, but with somebody who could make those throws instead of having to force it in there because his arm is dead. Basic, easy stuff for somebody getting in his first start. What are they doing running weird Wildcat stuff with Malcolm Perry his first week and it doesn't work? And they try to do it again and again in knowing that it doesn't work. They're running all this read pass stuff, and they see that Aaron Donald is sniffing it out, but they keep trying to do it anyway. Just do the regular old vanilla stuff that we've seen work when executed properly. That's what I would have liked to see from the play calling today, and I think just that alone would have been enough for Tua to have a better performance overall, just because it's stuff that everybody's been running already. That's my point. Well, I didn't need the play calling to be the play calling. Honestly, I think they tried to be more complicated than they have been all season, and it bit them in the butt. That's my point.
Another thing too is, with the drops, Preston Williams can't drop those passes. He probably dropped 4 on his own if we're really thinking about this, 3 or 4 on his own. Myles Gaskin can't drop that first down. There's a lot of stuff that needs to happen. But that comment right there, the Aaron Donald stuff, we saw that at the beginning of the game, and then we saw it maybe a few times throughout the rest of the game. But really, how many times else did we see it be a real problem? I think this just goes down to the defense played a great game, and you have to look forward to either the trade deadline to see what you can try to get there if you want to somehow get an offensive weapon or something on defense. Of course, I know we've talked a lot about Quinnen Williams, potentially if he gets traded from the Jets, and then going into that game against Kyler Murray next week at the 4:30
Well,
kickoff.
the Jets are 0-7 now, so there's really nothing that they're playing. 0-8, excuse me.
Yeah.
They're not playing for anything now.
They've only scored 94 points this season.
Listen, guys, I guess, again, my issue is when I see the stats of this game and I see Myles Gaskin had 18 carries for 47 yards with only 2.6 average. Matt Breida only had 4 carries after that. That to me should be more of the concern. You know what I'm saying? Because, yes, I understand you have a rookie quarterback back there and you didn't need to do much, but you would have wanted at least for one side, at least on the offense, to look more fluently, more I guess, flowingly wise. Listen, obviously drop passes are going to kill drives, man, but you got to run the football better, man.
That's been an issue all season.
It's like you had 2 weeks off, right? And I understand you're getting a rookie quarterback prepared, but you should be also getting the running game better than this. You know what I mean? So what have you been doing for 2 weeks besides Tua? A quarterback's best friend is a running game, and yet this is the best that you can come up with? I mean, listen, the Rams don't have linebackers. I understand they have Donald and Brockers and Floyd and whatnot, but those guys, listen, they're going to over-pursue you, run away from them, and you get to the second level against Kaiser and all these guys that we can't even pronounce that were undrafted. I mean, there's no excuse. Not to mention that Jalen Ramsey, he didn't even play the game. He played one possession, one play, and then he was absolutely done.
He got sick.
What's the excuse? He got sick. Okay, well, whatever, but he wasn't in the game. So what was the excuse, I guess, offensively from that standpoint? There shouldn't be none.
Okay, Manny, you're making my point again. You're making my point again. Seriously, you guys trashing me this whole time, and you're making my point.
I think it's because you started off the way that you started off was you
said Tua too much.
You started off as Tua, and that it should have been Ryan
Everybody's too sensitive.
No, but okay, so no. The way that you brought it in is you brought it in that Ryan Fitzpatrick would have been a difference. That's how you brought the whole thing in.
Yes,
and that's why it was bad, because you didn't make your point. Yeah, you didn't make your point too clear. You brought it in as Ryan Fitzpatrick would have had this offense clicking, which
I said that they should have run the same offense that Fitzpatrick has been running because that's what everybody's used to.
You said that after the fact, though. At the beginning, when you brought it in as, Ryan Fitzpatrick, and of course, that's where it's no, because we've seen the offense this far this year with Ryan Fitzpatrick, and especially going into the Jets game 2 weeks ago, would have been the same offense.
Then the moral of the story is, and all that just goes for all the people calling me names in the chat, is that let me make my case before you stop me. That's all. It's you hear me say, you hear the word Fitzpatrick, and suddenly it's red alert.
It's the way you brought it in, Lewis. If it was brought in a different way, it would have gone by swimmingly.
Yeah, it was a little unclear.
I'm kind of sus, right?
A little bit.
Kai's the only one who gets that joke. Mr. Taco Man, you need to get in here.
Yeah,
that's all I'm gonna say. But anyway, so let's go ahead and talk about the defense now, because now that we've gotten the Tua stuff out of the way, so once again, give props to Brian Flores, because the defense that he has put together, seriously, they're starting to do that, generating the pass rush that they've been talking about all this time. Eric Rowe is seriously underrated as a safety / tight end eraser, and you have Emmanuel Ogbah. Give this guy, he has been. He's been overlooked all his career, and now finally with the Dolphins, he's getting a chance to shine. So give credit to that man as well. Andrew Van Ginkel, seriously, this kid came out of all this stuff.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm bummed out about is that Xavier Howard dropped in an interception and his streak is over. So that's. But
he should have had that too. Eric Rowe should have had that pick 6, but X should have had that one as well.
And the defense was great today.
Incredible.
I mean, as you said, like Ogba has been a revelation, and that number 91 is eventually going to be in the Ring of Fame, right, for Cam Wake. But if he keeps playing like this, I mean, maybe it'll be a Cam Wake / Emmanuel Ogba setup up there, because he's been awesome. And the defense, obviously the Donald turnover at the beginning of the game, if the defense doesn't respond in the way that they do, and taking the pressure off Tua and getting control and ultimately winning this game, I mean, this is a loss today, right?
Yeah.
And so his play, I mean, Baker had 13 tackles. Needham had 10 tackles. I mean, as a team, they had 13 pass breakups. I mean, Goff likes to get rid of the ball quickly, and they were getting him off his spot. They were pressuring him really, really well. And then even when they couldn't get to him, they were getting up in the air and they were batting passes down. I mean, there were 2 or 3 instances where, those were almost like those were dropped interceptions, right? Van Ginkel had one that, he should have hung on to. There was another one. Tyler, was diving for one. I mean, so the defense, I mean, the game plan to get Goff off his game, it worked. It worked. I mean, the Rams started to figure it out in the second half, right? But I think at that point, Byron Jones was out of the game. There were a few other issues there defensively, but
they all kind of got out of the game at some point. But as far as I know, nobody suffered any actual injuries. This is all just they're dead on their heels, tired, and they're all starting to cramp up because they've been out for like 50 minutes of the 60-minute game.
Yeah, no, they were on the field, right? Exactly, they were on the field a ton. I mean, Goff threw 61 passes today, and so
you have to be on the field a lot for that.
Yeah.
That's not even counting all the time they ran it.
Right, the defensive effort was incredible. It was incredible.
And I think if anybody deserves some credit today, I'm going to go ahead and give some to Jerome Baker. He was a nuisance for Jared Goff as a pass rusher today. I think that if this is where I say if we can pull it off, we need to get our hands on someone like a Micah Parsons, because him and let Baker be the blitzing linebacker, teams are going to be very, very upset trying to face the Dolphins defense in the future. Already they're this formidable, and after another offseason of free agency and another draft, can you imagine where this team can go? Especially, and this is why, again, it's so crucial that we keep Byron Jones and Xavier Howard on the same field together. Teams don't know what to do about it. If they can test Byron Jones. Goff tried that once, and Jones batted it away. No big deal. Howard almost picked him off. There's no safe place to go with the football except maybe in the seam with Nick Needham. And I'll say this to Nick Needham. Again, Nick
Needham was right next to all those crossing routes. Listen,
he's been playing a lot better.
And I do.
Nick Needham, this is the expectation we need to have for Nick Needham. He's not going to be a superstar. If I had to make a comparison, he is basically Miami's new Nolan Carroll. He's not anything great. He makes mistakes, but overall, as a reserve third guy, solid.
Yeah. No,
I think since the Bills game, he's been playing a lot better. That's just my. I mean, I know Noah Igbenogany was the one that was getting toasted a lot as well, but for what Nick Needham started this season, I think he's been playing a lot better.
For sure.
And so and once again, amazing job by Brian Flores to build up this defense. Now we know for sure that it has nothing to do with Bill Belichick being the head coach of the Patriots. Brian Flores put together a terrific game plan against the Rams in the Super Bowl, and it's just holy smokes. We found ourselves. If anybody is doubting Brian Flores at this point, I feel like I don't know what else he can do.
Add the national media.
I don't
do.
Well, listen, I'm not doubting Coach Flores because I really think that his strength is on the side of the ball that right now is flourishing. And I think
correct. He's a defensive head coach.
Correct. And I think that when you're a head coach, whatever position you came from before, you need to be able to, if it's offense, defense, or special teams, that particular side of the ball has to be stout because that's where you're great at. I just feel like he needs to be more he needs to open it up a little bit and it's going back to what you said, Lewis, which, as we all agreed, you said it in a different way at the beginning, and, involving Fitz. You need to be able to be more innovative on offense. This is not collegiate. This is NFL. You're now on tape. What are you going to do differently? What are you going to do to make sure that your rookie quarterback goes out there next week against Arizona, the following week against the Chargers, Broncos, and Jets? Mind you, all winnable games that this Dolphins defense can win and take over. Can we agree to that? Correct. I say yes.
Absolutely.
That means this offense needs to come out in the next 4 weeks and try to establish some type of running game, some type of passing game that combined. Wow, if you figure that out,
I'm going to say something.
I don't care what Josh Allen does with Buffalo. I really don't care. To me, it's quite readable what they're at. I mean, to me, Josh Allen is not going to go any more higher than anything. We don't know yet about Tua. But the Miami Dolphins have such a great opportunity to take over this division if only they figure out what to do on offense. And this, to me, the next 4 weeks is going to be critical because it's against competition that you should be able to go out there, get 3 and outs, and get multiple possessions to get better. That's the way that I view it. What
they need to do, and this is something else that I'll say the name, even though it's a dirty word. This is something that Fitzpatrick did. Tua is, now that we've seen him take hits and get up, Tua needs to start running with the football. That there were several times where they ran that RPO, and if Tua had kept it, he would have had room to run and then some. And teams are not expecting that because they think that the Dolphins are playing scared with Tua. And so as soon as Tua starts running, suddenly teams are not going to be able to key in on Gaskin anymore. That is where you get your running game from. So Tua's going to have to start keeping the ball because that's what got the running game going when Fitzpatrick was the quarterback. Fitzpatrick would take off. You can't key in on the running backs because you never know if he's going to take off and run with it. So that's what the Dolphins need to do now with Tua is Tua needs to take off and run a little bit. We've seen him take hits. He got absolutely squashed, got back up. He's fine. All the jitters about whether he's going to be healthy or not, they're gone. Now we can start getting serious about letting him take off with the football. And I think that's going to open things up for him.
Real quickly, guys. So Coach Flores just talked about Tua. He basically said, what was the plan? You can go through a lot of different scenarios, but the plan was to play good, efficient football. There's some things we need to correct, but it's good to make those corrections after a victory.
Yeah, so 100%.
Yeah, that's basically. Yeah, again, they won. No one's taking that away from them. Absolutely, I am not taking that away from them. Nobody here is taking away the fact that they won. Good for the Dolphins. Seriously.
Yeah. Listen, it's and that other stuff. It's gonna come. It's gonna come, right? The Tua starting to run. It's gonna come. I mean, the last time he played. Right, it was November of 2019, right? I mean, so it's been a while for him to be on the field in live action, right? He like all of the other rookies in the league were really hurt by not having a preseason, so we didn't get to see any of this stuff, right? So it's a process, and Manny, you've touched on this quite a bit. Like the Dolphins for the next month. These are all winnable games. I mean, next week they go to Arizona. That's going to be their most difficult game for the next month, right? Because after that, it's home versus the Chargers, it's at the Broncos, and then it's at the Jets. So,
and then home versus the Bengals. I mean, really, it should be 5 weeks.
There you go. Hold on.
Yeah, exactly.
Add the Bengals to this.
Yeah. So, like all of that. I mean, you look at what they have to do. I mean, today was perfect for what they needed, right? The defense dominated. Tua got his feet wet. He got his first touchdown, all that, and then they just have to layer all this stuff on. He can start to run some. They obviously have to figure out something with the running game because it's not working with Gaskin. I don't know if it's on Gaskin or if it's on the offensive line.
It's not on Gaskin. Some of it, the offensive line is getting no push with the running game. They can pass block decently, but as far as run blocking, it has not been good all season.
No, I'm willing to agree with you, but he's also, He doesn't make the right read. He doesn't always make the right cut, or he's a little slow to his cut, So, and again, he's also really playing for the first time in his career as well, right? Because he barely played last season. So, but they do have to solve something in the running game, and then once those things start to pile on, then they start to get down, working the ball downfield some, right? So it's going to be over the course of the next 4 or 5 weeks. It's the development, which is part of the reason why I think they did ultimately make this move at this time. Because if they're going to be competitive, if they're going to go to the playoffs, this December schedule, I mean, it's lining up to be a difficult one. They have the Chiefs, the Patriots, the Raiders, and the Bills. That game against the Bills might very well be for the AFC East. So they got to get to his feet wet. here because the reality is Fitzpatrick never led a team to the playoffs. You know, this team could have had a shot for the playoffs with Fitzpatrick, but they need Tua to get 6 games of experience under his belt going into that final push. And I think today was a good day for him.
So touch on the Bills really quick in that last one. I think the Bills have also showed that they're not the same team that everybody had been hyping them to be.
Defensively, they're not the same team. And that's supposed to be, Sean McDermott's side of the ball where he's supposed to be fit.
In reality, Cam fumbled that game away today, and then that Jets game. I mean, only winning by 8 against the Jets, who are 0-8, is a shame, honestly. So the Bills, who knows? And the Patriots, I mean, dude, that's a whole. I mean, the Dolphins, like you said, David, they're just set for such a good run towards the back end of their schedule right now. They it's as that said, is this a playoff team? Like at this point, that I feel that has to be the goal. I know after 2 weeks we were talking about how it's still building because there's a lot of things we thought we didn't like, but something, even though it was the Jaguars game Thursday night, a game you're supposed to win, something clicked in that game that helped for the team, and now you've been riding that. At least the development defense has been getting better every week. Now the offense just has to pick it up because, as we saw today, the defense is just going to be tired when you're putting them out there and you're letting a guy like Jared Goff throw for 61 times, and they ran the ball 29. Like that's something that needs to get adjusted offensively.
No, and also, Lewis, just one more point here. Heading during the week, I really thought that maybe Devontae Parker and Mike Gesicki were going to be those guys for Tua and per se, and they only caught 1 pass each. Say like Mike Gesicki 1 for 8 yards, and obviously the Parker touchdown. But I would have thought that they would have game planned more for those guys since they're the most, per se explosive guys on the team offensively. They would have tried to work things in with those guys, but obviously, listen, that's not going to get it done. Okay, you need to find Tua some type of comfortableness in that offense. And if you go back to, I guess I get it, it's SEC and it's Alabama, but he had great connections with his tight ends all the time, and he always had those 1 or 2 guys on the wide receiver spots that he always looked at on third down. I want to see more things like that in order to complement the offense as a whole and to help him out. Not only the running game, but those things have to be fixed as well, because there's no reason that Mike Gesicki against the Rams, okay, like I said, and even Jock said this, their pass coverage they're between the 5 to 10 yards with the linebackers is horrendous. It's complete garbage. So Mike Gesicki, I thought was going to have a much bigger game going into the seams, but I guess the game plan wasn't that. The whole game plan was, let's make sure that the rookie quarterback doesn't throw it into tight coverages. Let's roll them out. Let's try these new gimmicks. Like these new gimmicks and tosses, like that to me just made it, completely unnecessary. I don't see.
I agree.
I don't
Can't
see
run things twice against Aaron.
Maybe you want to do that in the preseason to try it out, but not right now during the season with a rookie quarterback against the Rams. I thought it was to complete stupidness. But again, I'm not an OC. But I think Mike Gesicki and Devontae Parker have to be more involved if Tua's going to succeed this season, and of course going forward if there's no running game.
If I'm the Dolphins again, this is what I meant all along. You keep laughing, Kai, but it's the truth.
No, I'm looking at the comment section to my right, so it's just.
I know they're ripping me a new one. That's why I keep saying I'm the Skip Bayless of 5 Reasons. They don't like me.
No, they're not ripping you a new one. It's very tame compared to what it's been the all season. The chat right now is very tame, very tame.
Yeah, love for the O-line here. Flowers, Robert Hunt. There's some love for the O-line in the chat.
Yeah.
Normally it will be start Tua. Why aren't we starting Tua? This is BS. Tua should be starting. Now Tua's starting, and now it's totally different.
Yeah,
Everyone's happy.
They got what they
look
want.
at the stat line. To me, this is an amazing first game.
Yeah.
You guys don't see that. I'm going to see that.
No, I see it. I see it.
I don't see no.
Realistically, it should have even been 17 of 22.
I don't care if you throw
those 5 drops.
He
He should be 17 of 22. He shouldn't be 12 of 22.
Let's count the drops. The drops probably add up to maybe $120, maybe even $150 if the drop continues. We don't know that.
Yeah.
And again, I was not criticizing Tua. Kai, why is it every time I say that you freak out?
That time was a laugh. It's just I feel like we all get it. We get it. Lewis. Everyone's on the same page here. Again, as we said at the top, it's just the way that you brought it in. We agree. We all four of us agree here. It's the way you brought it in. The top of that one was just like, whoa, okay, let's dial it back a little bit.
This is me trying to set up the next point of the conversation, Kai. I'm trying to keep things going. Otherwise, we got to stop the show. Do we want to stop the show already?
Do it, Lewis.
All I wanted to say one more time is that if the Dolphins want to get Tua's feet wet and let him actually make some throws, it would be a good idea to try to do just more of the stuff that Fitzpatrick was doing when he was running the offense. Do some more of those quick slants, get the ball out quickly. Don't give Tua time to think too much and try to do something crazy. That's how you protect your quarterback without making it that he doesn't actually get to dial up a pass. You need to actually let him throw the football every once in a while.
Oh,
Royal.
That's too funny, bro.
All right, so let's talk about Preston Williams for a minute.
Yeah,
so
man.
he's
I'm gonna get him some nice tape or something for his gloves, man.
He needs some stickum on his gloves.
You know
something.
that movie, the freaking Little Giants? He puts them in the glue and
I remember, and he gets stuck. I remember that. That was hysterical. We need to start throwing toilet paper rolls at Preston Williams.
Guys, at this point, it's not that Preston Williams, he's costing the team yards. He's costing the team points.
Yeah.
Like, it's not – I'm sorry, man. You can't be a wide receiver in the NFL running great routes, by the way, but you don't finish the job, the most important part of your position. That can't happen.
That and the character concerns are probably why he went undrafted at this point. Preston Williams has all the talent in the world, and he can't finish the job. That's been his knock the entire time he's been here in Miami. It's almost reaching the point where his nickname Unicorn is because it's like seeing a unicorn whenever you see him actually catch the football, which is not a good thing to be attached to you. If right now, I feel like that Tua's best wide receiver going forward is going to be Jakeem Grant. And the reason is because unlike Parker and Gesicki and all these guys, Grant has the speed to get separation from these guys because Tua finds the open guy. In Alabama, Ruggs and Jerry Jeudy and all them, they got separation, and that's when Tua was able to get them the ball. Preston Williams, Devontae Parker, and Gesicki are all about contested catches. That's not what Tua does best. Now, if you want to teach Tua to be not afraid to make those contested throws, that's a different story. But the Dolphins need to get some guys in there who can just blow we're back to the whole Tannehill argument. We need a wide receiver who can blow the top off the defense, a la Mike Wallace, except it would be nice if you could actually find somebody who's willing to try and can actually catch the football. So now John Ross fits one of those categories. He doesn't really fit the second category of the catching the football part. But at this point, the Dolphins have nothing to lose by making that trade. At this point, I would think that maybe if you straight up traded Preston Williams for John Ross, it would basically be you're trading one skill set for another skill set with the same concern. But
yeah, but the Bengals ain't gonna do that though.
Yeah, well,
listen, the Bengals aren't using him.
Listen, Joe Burrow's having a pretty good season. They think they're going to want to trade for a guy that can't catch the football.
John Ross isn't playing, Manny. That's why he wants out.
They're going to trade for a guy that can't catch the football.
They already have a guy who can't catch the football. They trade one skill set for another.
Maybe they think that it'll be
a change of pace. It's a change of environment. You know how that works? You can just get a change of environment.
Please put that up.
Listen, I personally think I can catch the football pretty darn well whenever I play pickup games, but that's just me. That's a different story, though.
Royal, man. Okay, so what about, apparently, would you go after, like, Will Fuller? Would you go after, like, I know Kenny Still's probably not, but, like...
Will Fuller would be beautiful, but his injuries, though, man.
But you know what I mean? Like, are you willing to
John
do
Ross
that?
Is the same.
So are you willing to do that?
More for Will Fuller, though, to be honest with you.
Listen, like, the Texans are really, if they're really shopping him and he's having a breakout season and he could help.
Like, how do you?
I don't know how likely it is that the team is going to make any big moves. You know, I mean, the NFL trade deadline isn't like the NBA or MLB trade deadlines, right? There's not a ton of action, you know, that happens during the NFL trade deadline, and you know. the Dolphins, on top of working in a rookie quarterback, right? I can't imagine that they're going to throw another element like a brand new receiver into the mix, beyond that, right? So, Preston Williams has been a problem this year. Obviously, he's got 14 catches in 7 games, so that's obviously not. Yeah, that's obviously not good enough.
He's dropped about he's dropped half about his money more. So he's like 7 drops. Yeah. It feels like. So 14 catches, 7 drops.
I think Lewis, your point about Jakeem Grant is a good one. I think Jakeem Grant is going to get more run as a wide receiver here. I mean, obviously,
the game a lot today.
We saw his value. We saw why he's on the team today, right? When he broke that punt return, I mean, he has the franchise records for returns and touchdowns and all that stuff, right? So we saw why he's on the club. But now if he can add value as a wide receiver on top of that, I mean, Tua found him against the Jets on that 3rd down play. He had the nice comeback route here today, and he does get separation, which isn't something that we always see from Parker and stuff like that. But I think, going out and trying to land one of those receivers that blows the top off a defense, I mean, that implies that the quarterback has time to throw the ball, right? And that he can work the ball downfield, and that all that stuff, so I don't know that's something that the Dolphins are really going to try.
That is true. However, I would also say this. Being fast is not just – you don't see Jakeem Grant getting separation just because he can outrun his guy going straight down, getting down in a straight line. Jakeem Grant also has the ability to get separation running those slants. He has the ability to go and make those curl routes and zip back this way.
Right, the comeback route today. The comeback route today showed that. Absolutely.
The guy was cheating because Grant is fast, and he came back and he was open for the catch. So it's not necessarily just running a straight line and that's how you do it. Guys who are fast are dangerous because you have to play them a certain specific way. So even if John Ross doesn't necessarily have to run in a straight line and Tua has to hit him, if he can at least make the guy cheat on him and he can make a curl route coming back this way, that's a good way to get separation from your defender. You don't always have to just blowing the top off doesn't mean you just go straight ahead. It also means that the defense is having to cheat more to get some separation.
I'm sorry, guys. I know you hear my son in the background.
He doesn't like my takes.
Lewis, Tua will make John Ross a Hall of Fame wide receiver. You hear me?
He has to be on the team first.
Hall of Famer.
Oh my!
He has to be on the team first.
Yeah, but I do agree kind of with your point that Tua does need some people who can kind of get separation. The receivers that he has now, they didn't help him out as much as he could have been helped. I'm going to jump out of here very soon because obviously I have my hands full. But yeah, I mean overall with Tua's performance today, there were some things that you would have liked to see him do, like get more opportunities to throw the ball. But hey, man, at the end of the day, it worked. Like it worked similarly that it does for Ryan Fitzpatrick. The rest of the team contributed, was able to help him get comfortable, help him establish some sort of rhythm toward the end of the game. And yeah, man, like it's a good start to a career, man. That's all you could have hoped for in terms of this game. And so I'm interested to see what he's going to do next week against Arizona.
Yeah, I don't think John Ross is the answer for this team. I mean,
I was gonna. Nah. What is he? I mean, John Ross is requesting a trade, and what has he done his entire career?
Be hurt.
I mean, all we've known John Ross as was even when he was picked, we were like, what type of pick is this? Why are you picking this right now? It's just what is his entire career? He's just either been hurt or hasn't done anything.
You know who that's. But Kai, you know who that sounds like at the beginning.
Don't you dare say Devontae Parker.
What we hated Devontae Parker for the first 4 years of his career because he was always hurt.
Oh man,
my
Kai,
God,
yes or no?
Lewis.
Yes or no, Kai?
Oh my God,
we did not like Parker for 4 years because he was never available, and when he was, he didn't do much.
Not even close. Not even close.
Oh my God!
What have you seen out of John Ross? Show me what have you seen out of John Ross?
I didn't say anything. I didn't say that John Ross has done anything of note. I never said that John Ross has done anything of note.
I need to understand this. John Ross this season has 2 catches for 17 yards.
All right,
so
guys,
he's not doing anything. He's available.
Guys, so John Ross has 51 career receptions, 733 yards, and 10 touchdowns, and 25 rushing yards. So the man hasn't even clipped 1,000 yards receiving yet.
How many games has he played?
Let me see.
27.
27.
Right.
Listen, I'm not sure what we're talking about here. I mean, Tua had a decent game. The receivers dropped. I mean, he was let down by his receivers, right? I mean, if you factor in those drops, I mean, we're probably not talking about as much about this, right? But the Dolphins aren't going to make a move for a wide receiver at the deadline. The guys that they have are good enough to get this team into the playoffs, and it's just a matter of getting Tua in rhythm, and he's got to connect with these receivers, and he will, right? I mean, hopefully Preston Williams starts catching the ball.
right there.
Hopefully Preston Williams starts catching the ball, but if he doesn't, then Isaiah Ford gets some more run, and some of these other guys It's the team has the weapons in order to be a playoff club. It's just a matter of getting to his feet wet and getting him exposed out there and seeing what he can do, because that's what this season's about. Seeing what you have in guys like Tua and some of these other rookies.
Just for perspective, in the first season when John Ross got hurt, he played in 3 games. In those 3 games, he had 2 targets. In Devontae Parker's first season, even with his injuries, he had 51 targets, 494, 3 touchdowns. John Ross sucks. I don't really know what to say about that. Devontae Parker, yeah, we were all upset. Yeah, he got injured. Yeah, there was a lot of things that we all didn't like. But to compare him to John Ross, come on, Lewis.
Yeah, Lewis, that's kind of worse when you started talking about Fitz earlier in the show. Yeah, that's kind of worse.
You guys take all my stuff out of context. That's all.
No. You just said.
Baby. Don't get so upset.
Oh, my.
I'm not upset.
But listen. We've all agreed here that offensive play calling needs to be better. They need to run the football much better than this. And the next 4 games, like me and David kind of said, it gives you the ability to do that. There's no excuse once you're done with the Jets and you head to that tough schedule and you probably end up with, what was it again, David? Against the Bills, right? Possibly.
Yeah, we finished with the Bills.
Yeah. So there's no way that once you get to that point, you shouldn't be averaging 2.8 yards per carry and one guy with 12 carries, and then the rest of the backs have 1 carry. You need to find your running back already. And I guess Lewis got mad.
I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, we're 4-3 right now. I mean, even if we lose in Arizona, to next week, it's not going to be a gimme, right? So even if we drop the game to Arizona and we're 4-4, the next 4 games after that, Chargers, Broncos, Jets, and Bengals. So you're looking at maybe 8-4 going into that final stretch, 7-5. If you get to 7 or 8 wins going into that final 4-game set, I mean, that's going for the playoffs right there. I mean,
yeah. I mean, your last 4 games are really your hardest than the rest of the schedule, truthfully. Yeah. And I mean, the Patriots game, it's just hard because that's a division rival. I mean, I think we've seen that the Patriots have been biting themselves in the butt all year, which is something that's not very Bill Belichickian from their team. But, I mean, that game's hard because that's a division opponent, but it's at home, 1 p.m. start. You probably expect the Dolphins to win that game, but those last 4 games are definitely their hardest. I think the Raiders have been showing that they're not just going to lay over for every single team. I'm not saying that they're amazing, but it's still a tough opponent. You're going to be away. The Chiefs, obviously, Super Bowl, defending Super Bowl champions, and the Bills, they're teetering a little bit, but those last 4 games are definitely your hardest on the rest of the schedule. I mean, you should at least for the next 5 go maybe 3-2 at the very worst.
Yeah, no, they have, if they want to make that playoff run, they have to win most of these games coming up. 4-1, 3-2 might not even do it. They might have to say
that has to be the very worst. You should be 5-0, 4-1.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, and I think Alfier makes a great point. That remember when we kept talking about how the team down the stretch had to go 5-2. Well, now they basically can go 3-2. But of course, I still want to see, the offense improving week after week, because we can't have, and I understand the game today didn't need Tua to, become a superstar. The game today was manage the football. If you don't get the 3rd down, don't force it. Interceptions, turnovers, those are little things that I don't think a lot of the fan base understands. You know what I'm saying? We've seen rookies go out there, and even with these leads, they want to make an impression, right? So that they're going to go out there and sling it. Well, Tua didn't do that because he knows he doesn't need to do that. So, you know what I'm saying? Just take it game by game not every game is going to be the way that it was today. The defense is not going to make every single play all of a sudden and score. And, I would love to see more special teams touchdowns because it rarely happens, it seems, down here. But, those are things that, listen, are going to happen in a game. You still got plenty of games to play. Every game's going to have their own way of, going, in their own, way. Like next week, who knows? Maybe we're down 10-0. Guess what? Rookie quarterback. We're going to open up now. We can't be running the ball anymore. If we're down 10-0 next week against Arizona and they're running the ball first and second down, now I'm going to have a problem. Now I'm going to try to figure out what is it that's going on inside Davey that we don't know, because that right there shouldn't happen. That was my only point per se. But Lewis said that his computer died, so I think we're going to wrap it up here, guys. So real quickly, I'm going to go to Kai and David. So Kai, one key thing you want to see this team do much better next week in the desert.
Play calling. I know it's a scapegoat, but it has to be play calling. We have to, during the week, we have to get an answer out of Chan Gailey about why this play calling was so safe. I mean, I get it. Of course, I get it 100%. But in some situations, I mean, one of the big things was that one play that you had Wildcat. I don't remember if it was a direct snap to Malcolm. I don't know. I don't remember who got that direct snap. But then we ran the exact same play right after that one. You're not going to do that twice on Aaron Donald. I know that the Rams defense, you'd probably say, is better than the Cardinals defense, and Aaron Donald, probably one of the best, if not the best, defensive football players that we've ever seen. But you can't be doing stuff like that. You're an NFL offensive coordinator. You can't be doing stuff like that.
David?
Yeah, listen, obviously you want to see the run game develop some. I mean, they were 3.8 yards per carry coming into the game. They were 2.2 yards per carry today. So, the running game definitely has to get going. But listen, we're going to Arizona, and they've got some weapons on offense. Obviously, you've got Kyler Murray, who's a good quarterback. They're going to be without Kenyon Drake, though, so they'll be with their backup running back, Chase Edmonds. I mean, he's a good player, too. But, the defense is going to have their hands full with DeAndre Hopkins on the outside, so it's going to be a matter of making sure that they stay one-dimensional. Because when this defense forces the other team to be one-dimensional, and then they've been really good, right? But Murray he's a little bit more mobile than Goff and some of these other quarterbacks that they've faced. So they've struggled with those types of quarterbacks in the past. So you kind of worry about that. But I think it's the running game. They definitely have to they have to find some sort of consistent approach on the ground.
Yeah. No,
Royal says more Tua.
Listen, the only way I want more Tua is if the offense plays more consistently on the ground. And if that doesn't happen, I don't want Tua doing any open, empty sets the way that the Rams were doing today. And Goff absolutely looked horrendous. So, all right, guys, so we're going to cut it off here. Next week, I believe the game is at 4 o'clock.
4:25.
4:20. Oh, look at that. So we're kind of on prime time, I guess. So awesome. So 4:25. We'll have Yard Prep pregame show around noon. That's normally how we do when the games are after 4. Guys, huge another 5 on the Floor podcast tonight. Ethan Skonig and Alf go digging into Pat Riley and to what he can do this offseason, which is always great to hear. Also, Canes football Friday night. We'll have a couple special guests on Thursday's show heading into Friday night's matchup against North Carolina. So obviously that's also huge. But hey, listen, no baseball, no hockey. I know hockey, right? I said it. Me and Kylie are probably the only ones that love this, right? No hockey, no basketball, but of course football right now is heading towards the end of the fall season, which is always great because that's when when teams become contenders and the ones that you thought were those are not pretenders. So
don't forget the UCL show Wednesday night.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Right about that one. Yeah, so we're going to have a recap of soccer. Obviously, Royal will join us. Hopefully, he remembers what a red card is, even though he red carded me last Wednesday, which I'm pretty sure he has no idea what that is yet. That was also funny. But besides that, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to Ethan and 5 Reasons Sports. We'll catch you on the flip side. Have a good night.
Thank you, guys.
Take care, guys.